One of the things that the, the the internet facility offers in migration and development, is the fact that two new areas, especially the involvement of diaspora. That's number one, and also number two is the fact that what can remittances do in migration and development are two important things that we need to also take into consideration when we do our work with migrants and migrant workers. Up until now, our work has largely been in the area of human rights and also has been in the area of health rights of migrant workers. Those are the two key frameworks that we work in, and we try to give that knowledge to migrant workers before they go overseas for any form of migration, for any form of job, be it a domestic worker or an electrician into any country. As you know, Sri Lanka sends most of its migrant labor to the Gulf states, and sending them to the Gulf states require a lot of knowledge that has to be given to these people so that they are aware of what the host country offering is, rather than simply saying that your salary is going to be this. So it's very important that we give them the knowledge. We also train them and make them aware of their health rights and their human rights, so that when they work in the host country, they know exactly what their rights are as well. So that's what we do. But having said that, the migration and development process has now brought in two new facets, which is very encouraging, which is something that we need to also look into, which is, as I said to you earlier, the area of the diaspora itself and also remittances, how these two can facilitate a larger development framework. The organization is about 31 years old. It's called Community Development Services. We started way back in the 70s, essentially to look into aspects of family planning. And we did a lot of family planning work up until the middle to late 80s. And then we got into the AIDS response in 1992. In fact, we are actually one of the pioneering organizations in Sri Lanka that works on the AIDS response. Having said that, we got into the area of migration in 2006, where we brought in a big health component to the work that we do and the offering that we have to give to migrant workers, both males and females. And in this health component, we have a very big area that we talk to them about their sexual and reproductive health, and we also talk to them about their about HIV, HIV awareness, the 101 program, prevention strategies, and also behavior change communication, the behavior change itself that is required by both these men and women who migrate to foreign countries. We have also been involved with the government of Sri Lanka in developing its migrant labor policy, which came out this year. We were part of the civil society organizations in developing that policy. It is not to say that we don't get involved in advocacy and policy, we do. But I think more importantly in migration and development, in my view, is a bottom-up approach. And we're very strong in the old paradigm, which is called capacity building. And I think that is very, very essential, because to us, capacity building means also to touch and feel people, to really understand their problems, rather than sitting behind a desk and writing policy. I think it's more important to get involved with people, to engage with people, to understand their problems and look at opportunities from there on. So I think that's our priority, and that will remain our priority. We will look at bottom-up approaches. Having said that, it is important that governments also, our government also realizes that policies, bilateral agreements are very, very essential in the migration process. And what I mean by bilateral agreements is not simply signing a document and saying we are going to send you X number of workers to your country. I think there are lots of other aspects that are required to be built into these agreements. Priority number one is essentially looking at the health component of these migrant workers. looking at decent work components, and aspects like that. So we have to bring in a health component into the agreements. Otherwise, I think the migration process may not work very well. The health is a critical, is critically important in signing up these bilateral agreements. The Sri Lanka government, I think, has been doing quite a bit since about 1985. It has its own government division that runs migration related programs. It trains out people, especially the female domestic worker. They have a 14-day training program. They've diversified across the country now. So I think there are some very nice mechanisms. There's some very nice things going as far as the migration process is concerned. However, that itself is not enough. What is lacking, in my view, are strong bilateral agreements between countries, between the host country and between the source country. If you have strong bilateral agreements, like I said to you previously, where a health component is built in, I think the efforts would be much stronger. And especially with regard to migrant domestic workers, there is no proper policy globally. Currently, the ILO is working on one of these, and hopefully it will be out in 2011, and we do see some changes happening. But this is the time to make those changes as well. This is the time for countries to start making those changes. I think it's important in doing that. We are very grateful today. Just a couple of days back, the U.S. President Barack Obama waived off the travel restriction as far as HIV positive people are concerned. As you know, if somebody is to migrate for work in Sri Lanka, it is mandatory that you have to go through an HIV test, and these are fundamental violations. The whole testing process itself violates fundamental principles. So I would think that these are areas that need to be improved. These are areas that we need to also show the bigger human rights aspects that need to be brought into bilateral agreements.